Nobody's smiling. Is everybody okay today?
Look at you in your uniform.
I always wear a uniform, David. Well, I shouldn't say always.
You look good.
Well, thank you, sir.
So if you get time, the ribbons above your name.
The ribbon's above my name. Yes, sir.
What
Beauty contest winner.
Oh my gosh.
The above my name, the stars indicate the years of service. Each one of them is 5 years. And let's not calculate that for my age. All right. Let's just leave that one alone. And the other one is just the American flag.
Okay. Looks good.
Chairman Mortland, how are you today?
Doing well, sir. How are you doing?
Good. Don Sanders looks like he's hiding his face from us.
He's on mute, but there he goes.
You're on mute, Don, but you're still as beautiful as ever. Susan, how are you?
Great. I've been looking around trying to make sure I got the right mute and unmute button. That was not a frown. That was a look of concentration.
Concentration. Chief, I'm just looking to make sure we have everybody on.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Martin, we got Ryan, we got Kelly. I see a Michael's iPad. Who?
Yep.
Oh, that's Captain Defoe. I got that. All right, that's Captain Defoe. We got Kelly, we got Jim, we have Dan. 1, 2, 3. There's Ron, Martin. So it looks like the only one we're missing is Mr. Vasquez.
Okay.
Because
So-
I did see Don Larson on here, correct?
I do not see him,
I do not
Oh.
need-
but
You're
there is
correct.
someone that called in from a phone number.
824. Okay. All right, we're gonna get started. So first off, I'd like to introduce Dan Shenecase. Dan and Jack Vasquez have both joined the Police, Fire, and EMS Commission, and they have gone through the board and the mayor and everybody else from that standpoint. So Dan joined he was at the last Police, Fire, and EMS, not police, the fire task force was kind of getting up to the speed on some of that too. So, okay, so we'd like to call the meeting to order. Chief, would you run roll call real quick?
I will. Alderman. Commissioner Willman. There you go. He's here. Commissioner Sanders is here. Commissioner Larson. Did he happen to log on at all?
We don't have him not present.
Commissioner Crandall is present. Commissioner Caracas. I saw Kelly.
He's done that.
There you are. Hi, Kelly. Commissioner Jadis is here. Commissioner Conrad. Thought I saw Jim someplace. There he is. You hear us okay, Jim?
He's on mute.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Commissioner Garden.
Here.
Commissioner Shunik. Let me help me out.
Shenecase.
Shenecase.
Yes,
Thank
nice
you,
job,
sir.
Chief.
All right. Welcome aboard. Thank you. Commissioner Vasquez.
He's not present. Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, the meetings from the August 25th, 2020 meeting have been distributed. Any comments or discussion? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Kelly,
Second.
second by Jim. Okay, all those in favor, just say aye.
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 The meetings have, the minutes from the August 25th meeting have been approved. Going into new business, Chair report, the aldermanic update. Probably the one or two key things from the aldermanic update are with regards to the COVID status. So we are in contact, City Administrator Bob Shelton is in contact with the county with regards to the CARES funding. So that's still in process, and we're still waiting to hear from that. And then there's quite a few code changes that are coming from on the building side, and then in the near future from the planning and zoning with regards to the fence, some fence code. So if you have any time, you can, the planning and zoning recordings are on the website if you have any interest on those. With regards to the larger one is the fire and EMS task force update. So the fire and EMS task force met on September 8th. Confirm that date real quick. September 8th, Tuesday, September 8th. And discussions went about with regards to how do we move forward? What are the key issues? And at the last meeting in August, Chief Sadler and West County EMS had made the offer to do an extension of the existing agreement for 1 year to give us time during COVID times. So Chief Sadler and City Administrator Shelton are working through the details on that. The Police, Fire, and EMS Task Force did review that. They did recommend for the near term to approve that extension. And there was also some discussion and question on how does that affect this commission. So the Police, Fire, and EMS commission is definitely, the input is wanted. I know Commissioner Sanders and myself are on the task force, and they have other residents that have been assigned to the task force. The way the city has been doing, they've been creating kind of a subcommission / task force to handle these issues due to time considerations, due to due to knowledge or experience in certain areas. So the task force is going to make the recommendation that'll go to us as a commission, but that does not prevent any of our commissioners from joining those task force meetings and having input. And I'm going to be providing updates. If we need to have more of a subject line and have more of a discussion at this level, we can definitely add an agenda item in the future. So as of right now, the task force has recommended for the city to review and move forward with the extension. And like I said, Bob Shelton and Chief Sadler are working through kind of the details on what that would look like. That extension, nothing legally has been done. That extension would come back to the task force and will come back to the Police, Fire, and EMS Commission for review before it goes to the Board of Aldermen. So that is the core update. The second part to the goal with the Fire and EMS Task Force is to, since the primary reason was to work with work on the agreement or the contract. Now that would subside for a year, is to really look at it from a strategic approach and look at the next decade or 2 decades out and see what does town and country need, what are the services, what are the physical equipment, all the way to locations and property and other things to provide the safety, security, and the fire EMS services to our citizens. So that task force will be moving forward. We look at it probably as going to be a 6 to 9 month task force, depending on holiday breaks and some of the other things to get back with a strategic recommendation on how we move forward with fire and EMS moving forward for town and country. Any questions on that? Susan?
I'm not quite clear why we're holding off a year on it. Could we just get a bit more on that?
So primarily, we appreciate West County Fire EMS offering it. Due to COVID, pricing changes and other things we're working through looking at the financials in those areas. Also,
I don't understand, but I mean, I don't understand what COVID has to do with it.
so West County Fire EMS offered it due to the current COVID, every budgets are being pulled back and other things from that standpoint. So they were doing it out of goodwill. Was the offer came out of goodwill, knowing that everybody's budget is being hit.
Because
Where-
we expect our budget to be better next year? Or,
So it's not to say our budget's better next year. It gives us time to plan and to figure out how to fund it appropriatly. Any kind of changes.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to interrupt, Susan. I just this may or may not help. We were looking at the contract, and the way the contract reads, there's basically everything's built around CPI, and we were looking at it from obviously CPI it's like 0.6%, I think, this year, or projected to be. And at the end of the day, it didn't really, the difference between what we were, it allowed a little bit longer window, because normally we would have entertained these discussions for the new contract much earlier in the year. And given that we had our hands tied up in other, our hands and our brains tied up in other things, at least at our level, it seemed to offer a little bit less pressure given the economic. There really wasn't a benefit to, it isn't like everybody's budget's doing well. So it just, it seemed to take a little bit of the pressure off, extend the window out a little bit. And it just seemed to make sense. Does that make any sense? I'm not sure that helps.
no, but I guess there's no sense dwelling on that here now. I'm just confused. Is the city holding off on any other contracts of any type because of COVID?
Yes, the city's been holding off on parks and trails, construction contracts. We're holding off on a ton of, pretty much when COVID hit, any new improvement gets stopped. So very few things are getting through, like the police, fire, and EMS, the police department got the body worn cameras. That was one that was supposed to happen in March. We got it in August and September.
So we're holding off on a lot of contracts, then negotiating a lot of contracts for the city.
Mostly, yes, yes.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Yep.
Excuse me, before we go on, this is Jack Vasquez. I tried to join by phone because I was at the office and apparently you could not hear me. So I am in on Zoom. I apologize for that technical difficulty.
No worries, Jack. It's nice to meet you, and we will mark you as attendant, and we'll continue on. All right.
I didn't want to miss the first meeting.
Yes.
I didn't want to miss the first meeting. Sorry about that.
But no, we're glad to have you. We're glad to have you, Jack. Any other questions? We will send you the website will inform you, but we will make sure that the next Fire EMS Task Force is October 13th at 8 a.m. We will send this commission, if they'd like to attend, the ability to attend. It is a public meeting. Anybody is able to join. Any other questions or any other comments on the Fire EMS Task Force? Okay. The chief might have to, the fire chief, Sadler, might have to leave a little early. So we're going to let him start today with his update. Go ahead, Chief.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. And to the new members, I welcome you and I look forward to meeting you. I want to ask, first of all, Kelly, is the W Westminster or Wayland?
It's Wayland. It's my subliminal attempt, Jeff. It's
Okay.
Wayland.
Selling. So my update is relatively brief, and as Alderman Moreland alluded to, I may have to pop off here just a little bit early. Wanted to hit a couple of key points. I know we mentioned at the last meeting, or I mentioned at the last meeting, that call volumes were a little bit down, and I wanted to circle back with some numbers. So as of today, actually midnight this morning, Town and Country is down 18% in call volume, which in the grand scheme of things, that's actually kind of consistent with what we're seeing in the area. The interesting thing though is we'd normally see, well, we'd like to see with decreased call volume, we'd like to see better response times. And we are a little bit, the average response time compared to this time last year, same period, is across the board down about 30 seconds for all 4 wards. So it's a little bit better. It's not great, but that kind of points out to the geography that we had discussed at previous meetings. It is kind of difficult to overcome. One of the things I mentioned at the last meeting, our heavy rescue was coming in right about the time of our last meeting. We were projecting it to be in. It did come in about 3 weeks ago. It is projected to be in service in the next week or so. I invite anybody that's interested to pop in and take a look at it if you want. You're welcome to. That will be at our Station 1 on Henry. We are also in the process of getting ready to, obviously we're in the budget cycle. We're working on our capital budget for next year, and our big main expenditures next year are going to be surrounding breathing air. So we're replacing all of our self-contained breathing apparatus that we have to do periodically, and it's due. They're due. So that's our big purchase for next year. Beyond that, nothing really major going on other than the budget cycle. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to entertain them.
Any questions for Chief Sadler?
Are you noticing less traffic on the response when you go to a call out?
Yeah, I think and I think Chief Havens can probably speak to the traffic volume on the roads. I think we saw a pretty significant decrease in volume in March, April, and it's slowly creeping back up. So we're seeing a little bit more volume on the roads.
Thank you, Chief. Okay. All right, moving into the next section of the meeting here with regards to police, Chief Caven's report. Chief.
Well, I'll begin, Chairman. One, the important part is welcoming our new members. Again, as I mentioned in an email communication to them, I invite them to come by anytime to my office, sit down and talk, get caught up, meet the command staff and the on-duty personnel. I think it's important that everybody has a face to a name, and they understand everybody's role and understand what our philosophy here is at TCPD. So again, I welcome the new members, and all of you seasoned veteran commissioners, the door's always open, stop by anytime. And so that Chief Sattler doesn't try to outdo us like he normally does, we have 2 new squad cars. If you guys want to stop by and see our 2 new squad cars, they're in service. So come on by. They're black and white though. They're not big and fancy with 3 axles and red and blue. Just the invite's there.
We'll give you a ride in ours.
Okay, thanks. Chairman, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to start with number 3 and work my way backwards, as kind of going from old to new business. As all of you know, since I've been here, I promised that the body worn cameras and the in-car cameras would be replaced and implemented. They are in, and as we speak, they are being installed, activated, whatever other verb that you would like me to use. They're here. We're on a good timeline. The projected timeline of completion would be October 15th. And we are excited that this huge project is nearing a completion. For the new members, what we have been dealing with is just prior to my arrival in July of 2019, Town and Country Police Department entered into a grant program with the Regis Commission for body-worn cameras. Somehow or another, there was miscommunication, misleadership, mismanagement on the part of Regis. The project got stalled. TCPD command staff took the bull by the horns and kept Regis's toes to the fire. And about the time we started getting everything rolling again, COVID hit. But fortunately, behind the scenes, even though nothing could be done, Lieutenant and Sergeant continued to keep them on their toes, and we got the grant straightened out. We got the equipment in. We got our budget taken care of to where we could get a new server, the in-car cameras replaced, so that all of it could be integrated into one system. So now the body-worn cameras talk to the in-car cameras talk to the body-worn cameras, and we're storing it all in a brand new server here at TCPD. So the next meeting, we can actually take that item off the agenda, hopefully forever. Hopefully forever. Any questions on that topic from any of you? Okay, the next topic, the new hire. Monday, October 5th, we will be swearing in Ryan Schneider. He is the replacement for Officer Paul Wilson, who retired in August. Actually, former Corporal Schneider comes to us from Ellisville PD, where he served 8 years, reaching the rank of corporal. He has held the positions of in the community policing unit at Ellisville PD, and he was appointed their crisis intervention team coordinator back in early 2019. He brings a lot of experience to the department, and we're excited to bring him on board Monday. As you all know, Officer Mark Lukemeyer also retired in the interim of the hiring of Corporal Schneider. We have 2 background investigations that are active, but as I said in my email to everybody, I can't release the names just yet, just in case something would happen in the background investigation and they wouldn't get the offer of employment. But we're doing 2 backgrounds to stay ahead of the game should something happen, or again, as I informed everybody, that come 2021, there's a possibility we'll have 2 more retirements. So we want to make sure that we've got a couple in the queue waiting to go, so we don't have to waste any time. The last thing on my agenda is a couple of budget items that down the road, I'm going to probably seek the commission's support should something get, when the budget talks come to a finalization this week. The department heads will be meeting with the mayor just to go over our draft budget of what we have proposed. For the police department, a lot of the big items have been removed. We've got, thanks to you and the Board of Aldermen, we've got the in-car camera replacements. Last year, we got the Panasonic Tough Books, the mobile data terminals for the officers in their cars. Those have been replaced and are functioning just absolutely wonderfully. So some of the items for 2021 we are moving or transitioning into load-bearing vests from the standard ballistic vest carriers that we wear currently. Some of us wear them internally. Some of them, as you know, the officers wear them externally. What we're moving to are load-bearing vests, which are a healthier alternative to the current vest that we have, because what it allows it to do is the officers can take their equipment off of their belts, off of their hips, off of their lower back, and move it to their chest and shoulder areas. So their equipment is being more supported by the shoulders and their core instead of their hips and their lower backs. These vests redistribute the weight of all the equipment. It increases their mobility and reduces officer-related injuries, lost time, workers' comp, and other healthcare concerns. So the only difference that you would see when you see a town and country police officer, instead of everything being on their belt, it will be more around their core area on their vest. That's the only difference. Color stays the same. Everything else remains the same. We're going to add 3 more Panasonic Toughbook mobile data terminals to our quote unquote fleet. What these will be utilized for is right now, if the detectives get called out into the field, they do not have the same functionality available to them on a laptop as the patrol officers do. Whether they get called out into the field for us, whether they get called out on a major K squad activation, they don't have the same capabilities. So this will provide them those capabilities, and likewise, they could be surplus should a mobile data terminal go down for a patrol officer in a patrol, not a patrol officer, but a patrol car. So it'll be more or less a surplus. They would have dual functions. 2 more items are more on an IT side. One is a joint effort with our neighboring departments, Ladue, Creve Coeur, and Frontenac, for what they call CellHawk software. What this CellHawk software will allow our investigators to do is more of a quick and compelling visual transformation of cellular data in a more timely and an expeditious process. So right now, when we conduct an investigation, we have to rely on some outsourcing or another agency to assist us in downloading or extracting cell phone or laptop data during a criminal investigation. Now, if we split the cost or share the cost with our neighboring agencies, our detectives will have it right there at their desktops. So we won't have to, it'll be more timely for our victims, more timely for the investigation. The other IT product is a redaction software for our body worn cameras and for our in-car camera system. This is a necessary evil our necessary evil expenditure that we need because of the sunshine request that we may receive for the body worn camera data. There's some things that we just can't release because it contains victim information or conversations that are part of a criminal investigation. So we have to have that software to redact that footage from the body worn camera system. Other than that, some of the more standard things will remain in the budget. We will continue with the Kansas Highway Patrol fleet purchases for the administration and for the detectives. As I introduced last year, these cars are cheaper. They still come with the warranty, and this allows us more finances to be expended towards new cars and new equipment. So my goal is to continue the cycle of the new car purchases for patrol and the replacement purchases for the administration and investigators. We suspended a replacement for the captain and for a detective or for a vehicle for the Detective Bureau because of the COVID effects on our budget, and I'd like to get that back in. But other than that, everything else kind of remains status quo.
Chief, I got a question for you. How did your co-op go with the troopers?
Our co-op went very well with the troopers, Jim. Thank you very much. I don't have the full data just yet because it was Missouri Highway Patrol that was collecting all of it. but from what I'm getting from the patrol lieutenants and the sergeants that were working that day, the effort resulted in about 78 different traffic stops. But I don't have the results of those traffic stops just yet, or what kind of arrests were made.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chief. Fire Marshal Phipps.
Oh,
Oh, sorry,
yes.
Susan.
Yes.
One last minute, I just thought of it. What is the status of the self-defense training that was going on with KDX line and crew?
Thank you very much for asking that, Susan. You know, that was a pet project of mine that I wanted to get started here at Town and Country. Unfortunately, because of the schools up and down of allowing people in, not allowing people in, allowing students in, all that is still on hold. Detective Exline and Officer Wolf continue to be in communication with our neighboring agencies who have robust programs, and theirs are still suspended as well. Please keep your fingers crossed for us that as the new year opens for us, maybe some resources will open for us to begin holding these classes. But thank you for remembering that. That means a lot, because that's an important project of ours.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Fire Marshal.
Yes.
Fire Marshal Phipps.
Yes. Just a quick update on the municipal codes. Last night, the board did final approval, which means now we will bring the codes back in the office and they will go active on November 2nd. And we're notifying all the contractors this week to give them a heads up on the new codes. It's the 2018 IFC, IBC, IRC, mechanical code, and property maintenance code, and the energy efficiency code. That's it.
Thank you, Fire Marshal. Any questions or any items for Fire Marshal Phipps? No? Chief Cavens, when is our next meeting is October 27th?
Yes, that's what I was just, when is Thanksgiving this year? The 29th?
It's 29th.
No, that's,
You're in November.
I'm in November. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get the holidays here sooner for everybody. Yes, October 27th is the next PFE commission meeting.
And as we discussed, we wanted to kind of get these back. I know they hadn't happened for 6 months or so, and get them back going on a monthly basis. We might only do one after October, either between November and December. Just from that standpoint, Chief, we'll talk with Lori on that.
Okay.
Just with the holidays, unless there's something important that we need to have before that. Open business. Anybody have any open business agenda? Any items that they'd like to discuss? Questions asked. Jim?
Yeah, I just wondered what happened to the fire hydrant testing. I know that was a subject a couple of years ago, and just wondered whatever became of that.
Whether it's happening or not.
Yes.
Yeah, the testing's going on.
Because I remember that one of the things, the American Water was able to do that from some kind of static test or something.
They have
From,
computer modeling.
Their monitors.
I'm sorry?
You know, with their equipment, they were able to monitor something. I don't know how it works, but
they model, they use computer modeling. So it's, they can tell ballpark what the pressures are. But that doesn't really, it's not really a substitute for testing. So the mechanical function of the hydrant, they can tell what the water flow is like at a specific spot. Usually, generally what it tells them is when there's a break, or, because they can tell by flow or pressures. But they don't, what we do is test the actual mechanical function of the hydrant and make sure it works. So when we need it to work, they're just testing the system. Does that make sense? It's kind of
Yeah,
like,
now, is that going on in Town and Country too, Jeff?
yeah, that's one of the things we're going to be working through with the task force, because the answer to the question is we're spot testing. We need to be a little bit more thorough in Town and Country than we've been able to be, as what was called out in the contract, but we'll be working through that.
Very good.
Isn't?
Just when we were meeting in person, we used to meet once every quarter. So just kind of like for future planning, is it the plan that we will meet every month from here on out? Or what is the thought? Or do you have any thoughts on the structure of our meeting timing?
I guess I'm open to that. I was just picking kind of the ball up. Chief Cavins and I had discussed kind of going monthly for a few of these, just to get the communication going and everybody talking, since everybody was out with COVID. Would we prefer monthly? Chief, I can talk to both chiefs and Fire Marshal Phipps from that standpoint.
Whatever is convenient for everybody else, Mr. Chairman, I don't mind at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
I will say I do kind of like the at least planning every month, Susan. But then if we don't, if Chief Sattler and I and Fire Marshal Phipps really don't have anything to discuss, then we can just cancel them. But at least it's on all of your schedules, in case we would have something pop up. But I'm open, and I can always email all of you, as I've done in the past, with anything that's going on. And if we need business related to where I need your support on something, then we can do it that way. But I'm open.
For what it's worth, and I'm a new member, but in the federal government, we have, and within our district, we've moved quarterly meetings to monthly with the COVID crisis, just to be prepared in case something comes up. And you're correct, if we don't need the meeting, we can always cancel it. But again, I'm new, so that's just my thoughts.
Thanks, Jack. Susan, I'll talk to both chiefs and Fire Marshal Phipps, and we can bring that back to the next meeting and maybe make that determination. Any other open items?
I just have one question for the chief, if you don't mind. That poor woman that got her purse ripped off her shoulder in the parking lot of Schnucks, I believe. Whatever happened with that?
That's a great question, Don. We believe we have him identified. He's part of a bigger investigation that involves numerous agencies in St. Louis County. The Detective Bureau has been meeting weekly, at the least bi-weekly with these other agencies. However, they're in constant communication almost every day with them. He is somewhat, we believe, I can't go into too much detail, but we believe he's gone into hiding, that he's sleeping out in stolen cars, things of that nature, because we can't track him down now anymore to any of his residences or where they know he lays his head. He is on, let's just say he is on the short string. We will find him. If we don't find him, one of our partnering agencies will, and we'll be able to bring this to a closure for the victim.
Good news. Thank you.
And I had one other clarifying item with regards to the CARES Act funding. City Administrator Shelton sent over the update. Basically, St. Louis County continues to interpret the regulations for the CARES Act funding to not allow public safety payroll expenses unless substantial dedicated to mitigating or responding to the COVID-19 public health emergency. All the TNC staff have been submitting preliminary hours, and Chief Cavins is submitting our initial request, which is due October 2nd. And legislation still set to forthcoming to the board prior to our subsequent submittal due on November 13th. So as we're trying to get money, and for those on the commercial side or businesses, the PPP and the EIDL took a lot of changes and as they went through. So the same thing's happening here in St. Louis County on what qualifies and what doesn't.
I will add to that, Mr. Chairman, if you wouldn't mind, that what I have submitted on the part of the entire city, we have went well above what the initial St. Louis County executive formula has determined we should get here in Town and Country.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Any other?
Now, whether we get that or not, that's to be determined. But we have it documented very well, and I challenge them to come see us.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other open items? Jim?
I just have one question. That is about the Zoom meetings. To get into the Zoom meeting, you use the meeting ID or the passcode?
Both.
We have to put both of them in?
Yeah, you'll start off with the meeting ID, Jim. That's when you first hit the icon, it'll ask you for the meeting ID.
Right.
You hit join a meeting, then it'll ask you for the password, enter the password and hit continue. Then it'll take you to another screen. And most of the time what it'll say is please stand by until the host allows you in. Then when Lori opens up the meeting to all of us, then we will all enter and it will ask you if you want to join by audio, by video, internet, select that and you're in.
Yeah, and one more question. I only see part of the participants on my screen.
Correct.
What? Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
you won't see all of us. You'll have to either swipe right or swipe left and you'll see everybody else.
Everybody?
Depending on if you're on a phone or a computer.
Oh, he's on an iPad.
On the
Right,
top
an iPad.
right or an iPad.
Oh, I didn't know you could swipe over. Oh, okay.
Swipe over on the top.
I learned something. Thank you.
Are you saying I taught you something, Commissioner Conrad?
Yeah. I need all the help I can get.
All right, well, good. Any other open items? If not, can I get a motion to close the meeting?
A motion to close the meeting?
Is there a second? Ron Jottis? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you all for your time today.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks.
Good evening,
Welcome to the
everybody.
new people.
Yes,
Thanks.
appreciate it. Thank you.